In news that is surprising to absolutely nobody, IGN has released a review that was horrifically incorrect. Now, this review did come out on September, as you can see here, 18th, before public opinion came out about the Penguin Show and how great it was. So, unfortunately, this guy here, what's his name, Eric Adams, was not able to cross check that his opinion was correct. And while we talk about media and we talk about film and all these various other things, obviously it's a very subjective field, but there are some certain objective truths, like the Joker 2 was bad. Velma was the worst show that's ever been made in the history of cinema. The Godfather was a good movie, despite what they say on Family Guy.
It insists upon itself.
And The Dark Knight's Heath Ledger was one of the best variations of the Joker ever performed. So let's go ahead and review to this spoiler-free, oh, thank you, Eric Adams, review of the first, I believe, 4 episodes of The Penguin, which is one of the greater shows that we've seen in recent memory. I'm not going to say the greatest. We still have a ways to go, but at least up to this point, and I have some issues with episode 5. I think there's some plot holes that are starting to come up, specifically regarding Sophia, that bother me, and how Maroni got out of jail. I mean, really, thanks for the keys, bitch. What are we doing here? But anyway, let's let's react to IGN's wonderful 5 out of 10 review of The Penguin. After Oz, Cobb, Colin Farrell, isn't it Cobblepot? Am I drunk? I thought it was Cobblepot. Spends 4 episodes cutting a path of destruction across Gotham City. Somebody finally says it. You got too many plates spinning. Oh, using the own show's quote against the show. I don't know how too many plates spinning would be a bad thing if you can catch them all. I mean, spinning plates, it normally means that there's a lot of things going on. That doesn't necessarily mean something's good or something's bad. Well, as bad as if you drop all the plates, but I think that the Penguin is doing a magnificent job with all the various plot strings and different ways that they're being weaved, how we're following Sophia, who gets recontextualized, how we followed Vic, how we're following even Oz's girlfriend is playing a prominent role. Let's take this insult at surface value. Eric Adams, you're doing a great job here using the show against itself. That's what great critiques do of art. As the Batman, the 2022 movie, in case you didn't know, idiots, established, the Penguin, the character, idiots. Why do we have so many parentheses going on here? Colin Farrell, we get the 2022 movie, the character. Like, all right, just write your article, dude. You don't need to contextualize everything. The Penguin, the character, is no stool pigeon. I honestly don't even know what that sentence is really trying to imply, but no, he doesn't sit around and just let things happen. The Penguin in the show especially is kind of a go-getter. He's trying to bring himself up from mediocrity. He wants to make some of himself. He's constantly talking about it. That's one of his major motivations, is he doesn't want to be a nobody. And whenever he starts to falter, his mom kicks his ass in a gear and says, "You're Oswald Cobblepot." But the Penguin, the HBO spinoff, Jesus, is not opposed to telling on itself. All right, interesting thesis. Let's see how you go about it, Eric Adams. In the process of squeezing some premium cable mayhem out of material originally conceived for The Batman Part 2, showrunner Lauren LeFranc and team have taken on more than they can handle. That is an ambitious statement in your future ambitious paper. I guess it's not really a paper, whatever this nonsense is. This is an essay, so to speak, but you have to present facts and back them up as well. It was ambitious to build a bridge to a superhero event film within a mob mini epic airing in the hallowed time slot once occupied by one of the latter genre's undisputed masterpieces, The Sopranos. I I feel like this sentence is wrong. Like, okay, yes, the idea was to have a sort of the Penguin spinoff, and that is, I don't know if it's ambitious, but it's certainly an interesting idea, especially with the recent prominence of the horrific Joker Fleur à deux and the original Joker, where we're following along a Batman villain, because Batman has some of the best villains. They're all sort of different variations and reflections of the human psyche. I've always loved the Batman villains. Would it be ambitious to bridge a superhero film with a TV show? I mean, in 2024 especially, I don't really think so. Now you're saying it's in the once hallowed time slot, or the hallowed time slot once occupied by The Sopranos? Um, is it? I mean, first of all, this is on streaming, so this is on demand. There's no longer time slots. This sentence just doesn't exist. There are no more Outside of what, Jimmy Fallon and sporting events, does anybody actually watch live TV anymore? There is no such thing as a time slot. You go to Max, which isn't HBO Max, because they thought rebranding this was a genius idea. Give 5 points to the CEO there. He saved letters on the stitching for their shirts. And then you say, I want to watch The Penguin whenever you feel like it once it's released. And then you do. Some people watch it right when it comes out, but most people don't. So this, again, your sentences are just wrong. What is your name? Eric Adams, spelt with a K. He's sicking me. All the while, they're also filling in the background of a villain mostly made of prosthetics and ushering a more recent addition to Batman lore into the big time. It feels like this is a shot. They're filling the background of a villain mostly made of prosthetics. That's an insult, right? You're making fun of the fact that we're not getting like a real actor, quote unquote. Is that kind of what you're going for? I mean, these are just kind of passive aggressive jabs that you're taking here, little digs like, look at them trying to fill the shoes of the Sopranos. Look at them try, but they can't do it. They're taking on too much. I don't know about you, my friend who knows nothing about comic books, superhero movies, just completely normal, goes to work, watches 90 Day Fiance. You know what they said when I told them that Colin Farrell was the one who plays the Penguin? They said, "What? Are you kidding me?" You pull up the side by side pictures, nothing in common. Beautiful job done by the whatever you call this, the character designers. Beautiful acting job because they are nothing alike. You watch In Bruges and then The Penguin, you go, there's no way that's the same dude. This is like an all-time performance by Colin Farrell, and you're just saying a villain mostly made of prosthetics is a little smarmy dig? Get out of here. I'm looking at this and I'm just gonna lose my mind, so let's not scroll down too far. Oh yeah. You know what this sounds like? Oh yeah. And they're trying to do it all in only 8 episodes. Like, this is your voice when you write, sir? I know it's hard to get your intonation via text, but this is what we're doing. Oh yeah. They're trying to do it all in only 8 episodes. To contrast that with the Sopranos, the other members of the DeMeo? I honestly don't know. Crime family were only just starting to catch wind of Tony's forbidden therapy regimen by episode 8. I feel like those are completely incomparable. Like, it doesn't matter how long it takes for you to get something. Also, The Sopranos was a completely different show, set up in a different time. It was set up to be a, what is it, 8 seasons long narrative that follows the crime family and follows the Soprano family, while this is more telling the specific story that it's trying to tell. Why does it matter if something's longer or shorter? That doesn't determine the quality of it. What does this sentence mean? Like, who cares if something's a Andor was only a couple episodes, but it was one of the best shows Star Wars has ever made. It might be the best show. Whereas Velma had 2 seasons. Does that mean that Velma is better than Andor because it had more? Like, what are you talking about, Eric, spelt with a K? In TV terms, this isn't a lot of time. Yeah, and look how well they're handling it. Look how every single scene is instilled with both subtext and context. There's different emotions on the actors' faces. Every scene you can take and analyze and read into different things. Each time you watch it a second time, you watch it a third time, you may notice something that you missed the first time. Go rewatch the magnificent episode 4 where Sophia's going through jail and they're trying to make somebody who's sane almost it's a well done show, and you're just laughing at it because there's only 8 episodes? What kind of insult is that? In TV terms, this isn't a lot of time, and The Penguin is, as a result, a mess. I'd really like to see how you capitalize on this concept. Sometimes an entertaining mess. Oh, because we're IGN, we can't be too mean, although this is probably the meanest I've seen IGN be in a review, but good on you, Eric Adams. I'd love to see what you think is a well done job. Sometimes an entertaining mess, but more often one that shoehorns its character and relationship arcs into an oh so 2024 running length. I genuinely don't even know what that means. Are we insulting because there's only 8 episodes? I mean, I too, I wish that this was 100 episodes long because of how well they're doing, but I'd rather have something that's 8 episodes, that's trying to tell a narrative, that's trying to tell a story and do it well, than some Rings of Power shit that gets extended for 5 seasons that nobody cares about the writing. Like, this isn't a critique. This is just like bitching and moaning about nonsense. The franticness that ensues This is just very bad words and verbiage. You don't want to follow an S with an S, but okay. The franticness that ensues suits the impulsive, talk his way out of any bind protagonist while also feeling a gnarliness and bloodlust that's never as sensational as the big budget and prestige TV trappings make them out to be. Holy crap. I mean, that is just an insult to the ages. I mean, first of all, the thing about the Penguin is that he's not this talk his way out of any bind protagonist. He's kind of a klutz and a fool. Now he does a decent job at setting up people against themselves, not so much manipulating, but getting himself and driving himself like a nail into these situations and then trying to make it out. I mean, he's about to get offed at any given scene. If he gets shot by somebody and just murdered brutally, you'd go, yeah, that's probably a conclusion that the Penguin deserved because of what he's done. But at the same time, he's trying to elevate himself to these high highs and he's playing the game. I don't think he's actually talked his way out of any situation. And then when he does, it ultimately backfires on him anyway because the people that he tried to double cross before come up and fuck him over. So, like, that's wrong while fueling a gnarliness and bloodlust that's never as sensational as the big budget and prestige TV trappings make them out to be. What is gnarly and bloodlusty that's sensational in this show? Part of what we like about the show is that it's more just grounded and more down to earth. There isn't Mr. Freeze giving some great, icy catch lines.
Stay cool, bird boy.
Cool off.
Let's kick some ice.
Everybody freeze. I mean, I love that. Don't get me wrong. Batman and Robin, one of the greatest watches ever, but it's not nowhere near what the Penguin is trying to do. What are you talking about, Eric with a K? Oh, jeez. All right, ads. Let's see. Batman Face Off. Who was the best villain from movies and TV? And our choices are the Jared Leto Joker or Doomsday. If anybody, if this didn't exist right here at the bottom and they just had the picture, would you know who the fuck Doomsday is? Can we pick neither? I guess I'm gonna go with Jared Leto because I don't know who Doomsday is. What are the results? Are you gonna take me to a new page? Obviously, the Joker Heath Ledger, and then the Joker Mark Hamill. All right, that's fun. Mr. Freeze versus Egghead. I gotta say Mr. Freeze just because of the one-liners. All right, we're having way too much fun. We need to be listening to what Eric said. Everybody, Eric doesn't like the Penguin. Oz is, frankly, an odd choice to build an entire series around. He really is, and that's what's kind of made the show. There's this thing that I used to do when I was in college where I would try to make myself come off almost negatively as a challenge in social circles and social situations, like a personal challenge for me so that I'd have to earn their trust and make people like me because of who I am, not just because of surface level. And I know that's like some philosophical, psychological bullshit, but that's kind of what it feels like the show is doing. They're like, you know what? We don't have to take the Batman and make a TV show. We're going to take a villain. We're going to have some fun with it. We're not going to spend too much money, but we want to tell this really gripping and intense narrative, gritty, down to earth, with the Penguin, with Colin Farrell's incredible acting. If it fails, whatever. It didn't cost us too much. We didn't break a franchise like Zack Snyder. If it succeeds, we've told a great story and made a great show. It feels like a win-win. I don't know why you're. This is the guy who's like upset about the new movie sucking, but then he won't get on board when a good, smaller, more independent team tells a great story. This is the guy who's like, why do they make the Arcane show animated? It should have been live act. Like, what are you talking about, Eric? With a K? 5 out of 10. Jesus. He works as a supporting player in The Batman with Farrell's approximation. Oh my gosh. With Farrell's approximation of a New Jersey dialect and the character's reimagining as a 2-bit hood, adding some notes of Francis Ford Coppola and Martin Scorsese to Gotham's gangland stew. This whole thing feels like an insult. I don't even know where to take it. He works as a supporting player in the Batman. I mean, he's a villain. Sure he's not the Joker. Not every single Batman movie, TV show, and game has to revolve around the Joker. In fact, most of us are starting to get a little tired. They have him as the Joker in Arkham Knight, obviously Heath Ledger, all the Mark Hamill and the Killing Jokes, and then they come out with the Joker movie. We could do with a little break from the Joker. And I mean, a mobster version of the Penguin wouldn't be my first choice, but I'm always on board with creativity, and it seems like they're doing a good job. Now they're making fun of Colin Farrell's New Jersey accent. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the accents are fine. I think they go a little more, hey, oh, Brooklyn-y instead of a New Jersey. I don't even really know how to tell you the difference between the two, but I can feel the accents aren't perfect. I mean, these people are mostly from Britain and Australia and from Southern California. They're not Jersey, but they're doing a good job. I haven't lost any immersion when I heard when Victor stutters. Like, does the accent bother you that much? Is it because you're not from New Jersey and you're like, wow, these people sound really funny? What are you talking about, Eric, with a K? Oh, what? I've pre-read this sentence and holy, Colin Farrell's disappearance. Hold on, let me put my own parentheses here. Colin Farrell's disappearance into Robert De Niro facial expressions and James Gandolfini vocalizations continues here, though it starts to feel less like homage and more like pastiche after a few episodes. I mean, I don't know what this word means. Good on you, Eric, to use words that nobody uses in modern America.
Pastiche.
Pastiche, an artistic work in a style that imitates that of another work, artist, or period. Okay, so he's just, I guess it's a negative connotation of copying is what it sounds like. I mean The Sopranos copied the New Yorker mafia anyway, and so we're just kind of doing the same imitation, if you will. That's what art is an imitation of life. So you just because the Sopranos did it first, you don't like that Colin Farrell is using a New Jersey accent? What? And this one, the Robert De Niro facial expressions. I mean, okay, so, I mean, let's look up some Robert De Niro facial expressions. He does the lip thing a lot, you know. He does the frown smile thing. I don't know if the Penguin ever does that. I know he has this really creepy smile, but that doesn't. The smile creeps me out more than anything. I don't get Robert De Niro from this at all. Is that Robert De Niro to you? It doesn't feel like it to me. It feels like you're making a bit of a reach here just because you're a little grumpy about the show, trying to emulate a little bit some of the characteristics of The Sopranos. Pastiche him, if you will. All right, let's keep going. What keeps Oz from feeling like the sum of TV and movie gangsters who've come before him is Farrell's gift of gab and a wounded soulfulness that no amount of silicone and hairpieces can hide. I need to reread that again. I don't know if this is a compliment or an insult. What keeps Oz from feeling like the sum, what keeps him from feeling like everyone that's come before him is Colin Farrell's gift of gab and a wounded soulfulness. Okay, I can agree with that. But then he adds in this extra jab, no amount of silicone and hairpieces can hide. Again, like, I don't think it's a perfect job. You can tell that there's a lot of fakeness to it. I mean, but he looks pretty good. He looks pretty fucking disgusting. If I saw this guy on the street, I wouldn't want to do nothing with him. I wouldn't think, oh my God, that's a hairpiece and silicone. I think, ew, cross the street. But the most impressive creative decision involved with Oz Cobb, not Cobblepot, for that would be too whimsical for a franchise that revolves around, checks notes, a billionaire orphan who strikes fear into the hearts of criminals, a cowardly and superstitious lot by dressing like a bat, has nothing to do with the visual presentation. Okay, so it is Oz Cobb. I was incorrect in the beginning. Hey, I'm not too big of a man to say that I was wrong about the Cobb Cobblepot. And what is this? Let's read through this fucking run-on sentence of a parenthesis. They didn't call him Cobblepot for that would be too whimsical for a franchise of a billionaire orphan who strikes fear into the hearts of criminals. Criminals who are a cowardly and superstitious lot? I don't know if you're saying that's unrealistic or if you think this is a truth. And this probably is because of your poor writing skills. The fact that you like to throw in words like pastiche every now and then to make you sound more intelligent than you are. I don't really understand who you're attacking with this sentence. But okay, we're just gonna I'm gonna ignore this whole nonsense of a sentence and continue on to the next one. It's the choice to make him an ambitious screw up, a guy who thoughtlessly knocks over a domino in the premiere and spends the next 7 episodes trying to claim ownership of the pieces falling around him. Wow. That is interesting. That is certainly an interpretation. So I mean, minor spoilers here. If you haven't seen the show, go watch it. At the beginning of the show, they showed that the Falcone head, I forget his name. I don't know if it's Carmine. I think it's Carmine Falcone. I might be wrong. Is dead. And that the eldest son, Alberto, I want to say his name is, he catches Oz basically trying to break in and steal some of the important information that Falcone has had over some of the major members of both the family and the city as a whole, and some diamonds. So Oz is doing along. He's in the apartment, probably shouldn't be there. Smashes down a safe, grabs it, and then Alberto. Oh gosh. Sorry, I thought Batman was at the door there. Let's see. So Alberto catches him in the act, and he talks his way basically from being, "Oh my God, I'm gonna die because Alberto just caught me stealing his father's stuff," to, "Oh hey, we're friends. I was doing this." He did his voice. "Hey, I was doing this all for you, Alberto." And then Alberto basically insults him, preys upon all of Oswald's insecurities, makes fun of him, tells him why they keep him around. Basically, they treat him like a little bitch and they think he's nothing. And then just out of, I mean, somebody's saying this stuff to you and you're in the game, he shoots him. And then afterwards, it's such a great scene. He shoots him and then he goes, "Ah, shit," because it's just one of those like, it's the same thing as if he just threw a punch and then he hit his head on the back of a coffee table and dies tragically. It's basically he didn't mean to kill Alberto, but he just got so mad and he saw red, and now he's gonna deal with the repercussions and the fallout of it. Now he doesn't spend the next 7 episodes trying to claim ownership of the pieces falling around him. He spends the next episode covering it up, running into Vic, and then Sophia comes, and now he has to cover that up. And then he starts to say, "You know what, this is my time to shine," and he tries to take over the new drug business. I mean, the entire idea is that Oz is trying to elevate himself, and that's been his character arc from the beginning. He did it when he ratted out on Sophia. He's doing it now. These are spoilers, by the way. That's just part of his character, and of course, everybody treats him like shit and makes fun of him, and he uses that as sort of a motivator as well as a cover when he's trying to make these moves. It's a beautiful, beautiful show. Go watch it. I don't care what Eric says. You look at some of the pictures. I mean, these are just great. Look at this awful hairpiece in silicone here. Terrible, terrible, disgusting. Look at this. Can you imagine being the girlfriend of Penguin? Oh my gosh. Even looks like a penguin. You see the way his hair is kind of slicking back, the receding hairline, the pointy nose. I mean, just a great job. And then Sophia. What a great character Sophia is. All right, I don't know why I'm looking at this. We need to listen to what Eric says. Eric didn't enjoy the show, everybody. He gets paid to do this, by the way. You know how you go to your job and you get paid less than you should? You have to deal with management, annoying customers, and annoying teammates on a daily basis. Eric gets to watch movies and TV shows, write a column about them, and they send him money. Okay. But that's making the penguin out to be more intricately plotted than it actually is. Again, wow. I'd like to see you actually back this up with facts. How many minutes are we into this? I'm almost half an hour into reading your article and you haven't really presented a single argument. You just said a lot of insulty, smarmy little things that you don't like about the show, but you've never actually presented anything. But maybe we'll actually get to that point of your dissertation here. Oz's rise to power is positioned as an artfully planned heist. No, it's not. But it plays out like a series of reckless smash and grabs. Again, just no, it's not. Oz continually finds himself backed up against the wall, either from something he's done, something that he's done previously, something that he's set up, or something that's completely out of his control. And he always does his best to both survive and then end the situation on top in a more successful, more powerful position. It's not an artfully planned heist. What are you talking about, Eric with a K? It's a guy making difficult decisions in difficult situations. It's our favorite form of storytelling. It starts out promisingly enough. His cross Gotham attempts to cover up a lethal mistake make for an absorbing premiere with the feel of an anti comic book one off. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you said cross Gotham here. This is kind of a weird addition to what you're saying. An antic comic book one-off. Again, not really sure what you mean here. It provides Oz a crucial sidekick in the original character of Victor Aguilar, played by Rennie Feliz with a baby-faced, what did I get myself into dismay that comes in handy throughout the series. It's like every sentence, you're about 90% wrong, but there might be 10%. of like brain power that's actually occurring here. It does provide Oz with a crucial sidekick. I don't know if Vic is going to be his own character, a completely original character. I don't know if he's going to become Victor Zsasz, but I definitely like what we've seen of him so far. He does start out baby-faced. I think that's one of the great character traits, especially of the actor, and that's what you love to see in cinema, is where both the actor can match the character. The kid who plays Victor, what's his name? Rennie Feliz, does have a baby face, but also I think by episode 3, we kind of figure out that he's not just a baby face, not trying to do nothing. He has motivations as well, which is what you want to see of your supporting characters. He has thoughts, dreams, and aspirations, and that's kind of why the Penguin in the first place relates to him. He sees a little bit of his younger self in Victor. Victor wants bigger and better things. Anyway, I guess that comes in handy throughout the series. But it also sets a pace that's fatal to the remaining episodes, which plow through any obstacle and undermine all potential conflicts with a blunt force convenience that kills all suspense in the race to fill a power vacuum led by the late crime boss Carmine Falcone. I mean, it's a nicely worded sentence. I think you're wrong. It sets a pace that's fatal to the remaining episodes. Really? I mean, episode 4, we barely even touched anything that occurred in the current setting, and then we obviously end that with a bombastic conclusion, which again, I have a few problems with. I don't think it's fully, accurate, but I appreciate what they did instead of making Sophia go Black Widow and just ninja kick everybody to death, but I digress. Which plow through any obstacle and undermine all potential conflicts with blunt force convenience. I don't know how you can draw conclusions that way, and I know we're doing a spoiler-free review here, so you can't really get into the specifics, but you're wrong. As a devotee of Amy Sherman Palladino's fast-talking TV dramedies, I was tickled to find Falcone's heirs apparent, played by... Is that how you do it? Falcone's heirs apparent? That sounds weird. I was tickled to find Falcone's heirs apparent, played by guys once romanced by the marvelous Miss Maisel, I never saw that, sorry, Michael Zegan, and one of the Gilmore Girls, Scott Cohen. Okay, I mean, there's not a lot of substance to draw from that. And as a fan of The Sopranos, who spent a lot of The Penguin overanalyzing, I'll say, Oz's taste in leather jackets and gold chain jewelry, I was pleased to get an actual, if somewhat tangential, connection to that series in Kristen Milioti. 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 Following up her brief stint as Catherine Sacrimoni with her portrayal of the Falcone daughter, Sophia. It's just a lot of words that didn't say anything there. You just said who the actors were and then made fun of the Penguin and his taste in leather jackets and gold chain jewelry, which I feel like, you're in the mob business. That's what they wear. He's trying to fit in. He's trying to emulate a lot of the guys that he looked up to as a kid. I don't know if there's too much to overanalyze there. When Milioti uncorks her portrayal of the crime family's formerly institutionalized black sheep, it's like nothing else on the Penguin. Really, her eye-popping menace is closer to something out of Gotham, the Adam West Batman series, or any other Capes Crusader adjacent production that doesn't take itself so damn seriously. Wait, what? When Milioti uncorks her portrayal of the crime family's black sheep, it's like nothing else on the Penguin. I don't know what you're saying there, but you're saying it's not taken so seriously, but it is. It really is. It's portrayed well. The setup of her, not craziness, but she's certainly unstable. I mean, it's done in a very realistic manner. They showed the breaking of her character, so to speak. And obviously, she comes out who she is on the other side, but she's definitely a changed woman. I don't know how that's not taken seriously at all. It's taken very seriously. You're just wrong, Eric with a K. Her unpredictability doesn't help the Penguin's all gas, no brakes storytelling, but her loud wardrobe and Milioti's obvious air damn names, brash acting choices, her table manners would send a chill down the spine of the fish guzzling Penguin Danny DeVito plays in Batman Returns, add some much needed color in a washed out Gotham still recovering from the havoc wreaked by the Riddler and his followers. I just feel like this dude gets paid by the word. Like, there's a small sentence in here and it's just sandwiched with a bunch of crap that nobody cares about. So Sophia, that's how I refer to her. I don't know how to pronounce the actor's name. I'm sorry. Sophia's unpredictability does not help the Penguin's all gas, no break storytelling. Really? I mean, like, these episodes are an hour long. I gotta say, it's about 40 to 45 minutes of setup and then 5 to 10 minutes of payoff. I don't know if it's all gas, no breaks. I mean, I'm going into minor spoilers here, but Victor spends like 20 minutes walking the Penguin's mom into a rabby neighborhood and they don't have there's no like gunshots and explosions. He's just trying to avoid eye contact. Like, they spend a lot of time on that scene alone. That's not all gas, no breaks, but it's tense. Are you upset that the show is building tension almost every scene, that it's making these difficult decisions for these characters to have to navigate? Is that why you're upset there's not just a bunch of people stomping on heads? Like, you're wrong again. But her loud wardrobe and brash acting choices add some much needed color. Brash acting choices. I think Sophia's doing a hell of a job. I mean, she's playing effectively 2 to 3 characters. So she has who she was before Sophia got institutionalized, which was, a normal-ish kind of person, so to speak. And then she's getting broken down specifically in the episode, which was done very well. And then you have, I guess in a word, post institutionalization, where she's revealed horrific truths about the people that she thought was her family, where the only person that her brother was murdered and she's trying to figure out what happened there, and that she does have a certain level of unstableness to it, but it's not like she's she's a laughing hyena that's just giggling along like Jared Leto's horrific Joker. No, she's playing a very realistic, down to earth villain. I don't understand these senses. The only thing that you got from here is her table manners would send a chill down the spine of the fish guzzling penguin Danny DeVito plays. He just because the way that she eats post institutionalization made you look out. That's the only thing that you took from her character. Like, your comprehension of her character is so surface level deep. It's no wonder that you didn't understand the show at all. And then the rest of the sentence is just fluff, whatever. More than any of its predecessors, the Batman crafted a setting that felt like a living, breathing city with residents and institutions that existed and functioned independently of any masked vigilantes or their eccentric foes. Um, I'd say probably. I think the Joker did a little better than Batman, or the Batman. Sorry, I don't. I don't remember the Batman very much. It was fine, like a solid 7.5 out of 10 probably. If you're grading a little on the difficulty curve, I definitely feel like this living, breathing city. I definitely felt that rewatching the original Joker movie to prepare for Folie à Deux. While the Penguin is an extension of that world building, it also makes Gotham feel smaller by focusing so tightly on a family that, we know now, is explicitly linked to Matt Reeves' interpretations of Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle. I'd really like to know your arguments for this. I understand to a certain extent that we're not touching on the city and the setting of the Penguin so much. It definitely feels I get a lot of the like downtrodden from the environment, especially when we go to what is it, Capital Town, Capitol Hill, the part of Gotham that nobody gives a crap about, where Victor and the Penguin grew up as kids. I definitely feel that that part's run down, but there's no protest going on like in the Joker. There's not a lot of feeling the pulse of the city. So, I mean, I can agree with that. I don't know if it makes it smaller. It's just not important to the story that's trying to be told. Not everything has to be exactly the same as whatever you enjoyed 5 years ago. I mean, did you feel how the city of New York or Brooklyn or wherever the fuck Jersey, The Sopranos took place? No, because that's not who was important to the show. It was The Sopranos. It was Tony. It was Christopher. It was his annoying wife who turned into an OnlyFans model. That was who was important to the show, not the fucking city. Oh look, the garbage man came out on a Tuesday. Normally he comes out on a Wednesday. Like, good for a depiction of the all-encompassing, unavoidable corruption that defines this on-screen version of Gotham, but kind of limiting to the scope of the types of stories that can be told within the Batman epic crime saga. I guess. I mean, I just have to disagree with you here, but this is a very subjective opinion. So you can have it for all you want, Eric with a K. It's like how Star Wars has a whole galaxy at its disposal, yet we keep getting movies and TV shows that are inevitably tied back to the Skywalkers. I mean, I think if you take a poll, you can agree that everybody's annoyed with this Skywalkerization of Star Wars. And in fact, it kind of feels like they're getting away with that with a lot of the TV shows and movies that are being created now. Setting the Penguin in the wake of Edward Nashton. Who is Edward Nashton? You know what? This is good. I should listen to snooty, stuffy. What's Edward Nigma? Okay. I need to listen to snooty, horrifically wrong column writers more often. I'm learning a lot of things here. Pastiche, Edward Nashton. Setting the Penguin in the wake of Edward Nashton's coup de grace helps explain why Bruce isn't getting involved. He's clearly got other things to attend to, but as bodies start piling up and the streets flood with a new drug called bliss, it starts to strain credulity that any of this is flying under his radar. Or sonar? I mean, I get 100% the where's the Batman? Where's the Batman? I can understand that, especially when we know that there is an active Batman in the city. Just I guess the arguments would be, on the one hand, this isn't a show that stars the Batman. He has nothing to do with what's going on. A. B. The Bliss hasn't quite been released to the streets. In fact, they're struggling to get anything going. That's the whole point of the first half of the season, up to the point where I've seen so far, is that they haven't released Bliss and they're trying to maintain both a stable production as well as a distribution of the drug, and they're trying to navigate that and figure out how to make sure that the war that's quote unquote occurring but hasn't really occurred but kind of is, doesn't get in the way. People are trying to make money. I mean, the only people that have gotten killed so far is the crime families killing themselves. I mean, maybe Batman's just watching and doesn't really care that Sophia killed all of the Falcones because, oh, spoilers, because it makes less problems for. I mean, I really don't see a specific situation where Batman gets involved because the drug hasn't been released yet. Innocent people aren't getting hurt. There's a few, big street events that happen, but they're over pretty quick. I'm okay with the Batman not being a part of this show. Maybe you're upset there in your Batman tidy whities, waiting and hoping and praying. You're holding on to your Batman stuffed plushie, and you're like, "Where is he?" Every time an episode comes on. Maybe that's why you don't like the show, Eric with a K. Or maybe he can't be made to care. Sophia aside, the Falcons aren't all that compelling. Really? All right, that's I will say Sophia is the strongest character. I like some of the dynamics. Oh, especially the dad. The dad scene was terrifying. They recast the Falcone father, Carmine, and he's only in the show for about 2 minutes, and he's menacing. He is a terrifying human being, and that's the only time that he appears, at least to my knowledge. And he is a truly menacing character. So I would say he was pretty compelling. Some of the other characters, I mean, they're built up to not be menacing, which is kind of the point, which was part of why Sophia was upset with them. But anyway, maybe it didn't get that far in the show. Maybe it turned it off. Sophia's side, the Falcons aren't all that compelling, and their infighting and tug of war with rival Sal Maroney, played by Clancy Brown, in parentheses, suffers as a result. Again, there's not a lot of Falcone Maroney fights going on. The war actually was over, and we'll get into spoilers a little bit here again. The Penguin is trying to bring that back up because he's trying to use that as kind of a smoke shield. Is that the right word? Is it smoke shield? Why does that sound wrong? He was trying to use it as a smoke shield because of all the shit that he's got himself into. So there's not really a tug of war with the Maronis and the Falcones. Again, whatever. The Penguin props up this middling drama with pieces of so many genuine mob classics. Some shadows and lighting borrowed from The Godfather here. The Goodfellas-esque portrait of the gangsters who protected terrorized Oz's old neighborhood there. I still think you're wrong. So the Penguin props up this middling drama with shadows and lighting borrowed from The Godfather. I just genuinely don't know if that's true. I mean, this show is shot dark. That's part of the theme, is how dark and gritty the actual television show that we're watching is. Is that borrowed from The Godfather? Maybe they just borrowed some guy who's holding a light and said, make this show darker. But okay, I haven't done a scene by scene comparison. Let's take it at face value. Maybe Eric with a K here is correct. And they borrowed the lighting and shadows from The Godfather. Let's continue. The Goodfellas-esque portrait of the gangsters who protected and terrorized Oz's old neighborhood. Again, I don't think you're right. The most that I will give you is that Oz occasionally reflects on some of the mobsters when he was growing up, when he's talking to Vic. That's it. That's not really a portrait. That's more of a personal story. I can't believe how wrong you are. Okay, let's continue. But the fact that the subject of Oz's fondest reminiscing is played by Louise Cancelmi, the Irishman Sally Bugs, can only go so far. I'm interested where you take this. I think that's the mother. I don't know. Who is your favorite penguin? I mean, with all due respect to Danny DeVito, I gotta go Colin Farrell. Danny DeVito certainly earns it, but I think Colin Farrell, by the end of this season, is gonna give him a run for his money. Characters in relationships are tossed into the rubble too quickly to make a lasting impression. I mean, you're so fucking lucky that you don't have to provide examples of these outlandish statements that you're saying. I don't think there's any characters in relationships that were tossed into the rubble too quickly to make a lasting impression. Let's see. Let's go off the top of my head right now. Characters that I remember that made lasting impressions on me. So you obviously have Oz, and you have Victor, and you have Alberto. I remembered Alberto's name. He was in 1.5 episodes. Sophia, the father, Carmine. I don't remember the mother. She's not in any notable scenes. I don't remember a little girl. I remember Doug Stanhope, whatever his real character name is. I know he plays the underboss. I remember Luca. I remember they make fun of, I think, Misha. I remember the Maroney family. I don't remember their names, but Guy, his wife, and the son, who has a spectacular back tattoo. Good for you, sir. I remember the prostitute that plays Cobb's, that plays the girlfriend. I remember Victor's friend who gets an unfortunate stomach problem. Let's see. Oh, the mother. Can't forget about her. The caretaker of the mother, who's kind of upset with the entire situation. I remember. What else do we remember here? It's a pretty grounded show. There's not a lot of characters that we've run into. Some of the no-name helpers, they didn't really make too much of an impression on me. Oh, Victor's girlfriend. Almost forgot about her. In fact, Victor's whole family, they were really only in for about an episode or two, but they made a fairly lasting impression. The father and Victor's relationship, I like that dynamic, however short that lasted for us. Oh, Penguin's brother. We actually haven't even met Penguin's brother, and he has an impression on us. I'm running out, but these are all the characters that I remember from the Penguin through 5 measly episodes. I mean, just truly a forgettable show. Meanwhile, let's talk about Velma. Who do you remember from the Velma TV show? I remember the entire gang, Velma, Daphne, Scooby, Freddy. Was there Scooby? I don't know. I think there wasn't a Scooby. I know there was a Shaggy, but they race swapped him. Um, uh, Velma had a family, I think, and there was like a maid or something. I mean, I cannot believe that you're saying these characters in relationships don't have lasting impressions. But okay, wow. I just went through almost every character in the television show, and each one of them have had some sort of impression on me. But I digress. Oz pivots between allies and adversaries with such fickleness and frequency that we don't get a chance, or even a good reason, to appreciate how he's playing them off one another in a tussle to control the Bliss trade. Wow, you really just don't understand the show. The, that's what Oz does. He doesn't have an ally or an adversary. He's out for himself. He's using everybody. You just missed it. You don't like this show because it was too smart for you, I think, which is really absurd to say because it's not a high IQ fucking Rick and Morty show. It's a fairly straightforward show, and there's subtext that you can grasp from each and every scene and relationship and encounter, but at the same time, it's straightforward. You just need them to spell it out for you. I'm not on anybody's side across Colin Farrell's face and horrible prosthetics and hairpiece. That's what you need. Okay, let's continue. I'm insulting this poor man a lot. A rote crime doesn't pay message is written all over each aggressively tinted frame of the Penguin, but it's only truly felt through Victor's arc. And even then, we only get one mid-series episode to see all he's sacrificing to be Oz's right-hand man. Are you serious? I don't know if crime doesn't pay is the theme. I think this is similar to the Joker movie where the theme is more of it's a, a character story, a narrative following these people. I don't think there's a crime doesn't pay underlying theme occurring. I mean, maybe you could make the argument. You'd have to I don't know if I'm on that side. Also, we only get one mid-series episode to see all that Victor's sacrificing to be Oz's right hand man. I'm sorry, Eric, did you miss the episode? I'm gonna just spoilers again. Victor's family is dead. Like, he had dreams and aspirations to be a great man. He wanted to reach for the stars. He comes from nothing. He said to his father that he thinks we should get more. We should ask for more. We should fight for more. Then his family dies in the flood. So he's not really sacrificing anything. The only thing he sacrifices is his out. The girlfriend that he has at the time says, "I'm giving." It's basically goes, "I'm giving you an out. We can go be poor in California and be work from the bottom and do the same thing that we're doing here, just in California. We can start over. We'll have each other." Or Victor can stay in Gotham. He has his inn with the Penguin now, with Cobb, whatever. And this is his chance for greatness, basically. This is his lottery ticket. That's why he stays. So he really sacrifices that relationship for his dreams. It's a very powerfully done scene, and you you missed it. When the following episode gives way to an extended flashback of Sophia's harrowing stay in Arkham State Hospital, I found myself wondering, is the Penguin faltering because it's doing too much across a short span, or is there actually not enough substance to Oz's Scarface-like ascent and Sophia's attempt to stop it to fill out 8 episodes? Was that really what your brain was thinking during this masterfully done episode? I mean, I would equate this episode to the prison scene in Andor. I think this is one of the great episodes of television we've ever seen. I think it does a masterful job at telling its story, at breaking down a character, at deconstructing, at literally breaking her. And you're just thinking about, are they juggling too many plates? And again, Sophia's not attempting to stop it. They're effectively rivals. They're both sort of rising to power in their own rights. And I mean, the only extent they're trying to stop each other is because Sophia wants to enact revenge on what Oz did at the beginning of the series, and Oz is trying to reach for the highest heights. He's trying to climb Everest. Okay, whatever. The padding that emerges in later episodes. Wow, padding. I don't think this is such a short show. There's only 8 episodes. I don't think there's been any padding. The padding that emerges in later episodes suggests the latter. I'd love to see your examples. Oz has his own tragic backstory interlude on tap, a rewind alongside his ailing mother, Frances, played by Deirdre O'Connell. By the way, she does a hell of a job. She's this woman, spoilers again, whatever. She's this woman that's kind of dealing with, I don't know, dementia, Alzheimer's, one of those horrific, brain destroying diseases that make you forget who you see. But she does such a great job. Similar to Sophia, she just has these snaps and she just reverts back to who she was. And you can tell that she's a little bit of an abusive mother. They have this weird, it's very similar to the Joker's mother's relationship, and they have this kind of weird subtextual kind of incesty relationship. It's a little gross, don't get me wrong, but it's masterfully done. And then she has this cold, acute awareness of her son, of what he wants, of what she wants. They both have this same fire of achieving greatness and taking the town. And in essence, she reminds him of who he is, because there's times where Oz's facade, so to speak, kind of wavers, and she almost slaps in the face and says, "You're Oz Cobb. You're Oswald Cobblepot. Take over this fucking town." She does a hell of a job. She's a wonderful actress. Anyway, what were we talking about? The padding that emerges in later episodes suggests the latter Oz has his own tragic backstory interlude on tap, a rewind alongside his ailing mother Frances that's rife with the sort of 11th hour reversals that are intended to shock but wind up infuriating instead. I'd really love to see an example. I don't. Fine. Why keep this sort of information from your audience when it's probably constantly on your characters' minds and could have added much needed dimension before now? I really need to know what you're talking about here. I think you've only seen 5 episodes. That's what I remember reading somewhere, but boy, I'd love to see what you're hinting at. We'll leave it at that. The Penguin wants us to see its leads as underdog. Oz loves describing them as such, but it takes constant shortcuts towards earning our sympathies. I really disagree. I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are villains, so we don't necessarily root for them. They're these ruthless drug peddling murderers, but we are almost fascinated in the character. It's eerily similar to the first Joker, not the second one. And I really need to see some examples of these shortcuts because they do a fairly good job at earning your sympathy. You find yourself rooting for, and if I'm being completely honest, I'm rooting for both. I'm rooting for Oz and Sophia. I love their characters. I love what they've done, what they've come from, and where they're going. They're broken and discarded people united by misfortune, which the show literalizes in disabilities and medical conditions clumsily grafted onto their characterizations. Wow. Oz's clubfoot, Sophia's mental illness, Vic's stutter, Francis Louis body dementia. Louis body dementia. Is that the dementia that she has? Okay. Um I've you're wrong. First of all, good to know. So, Lewy body dementia. It's a dementia characterized by changes in sleep behavior, cognition, movement, and regulation of automatic bodily functions. Memory loss is not always an early symptom. It affects thinking, memory, and movement caused by a buildup of protein in the brain. It's a very common dementia. Okay, let's reread this sentence because you're wrong. I just need to find where. They're broken and discarded people united by misfortune. Everybody's going through shit is basically what's occurring in this show. It's not like and there's these beautiful, privileged white straight men who are in charge. Everybody's dealing with their problems and issues, and that's kind of why we're sympathetic to their characters to certain extents. Yes, but we're also sympathetic because they're so well written. But let's continue. The show literalizes in disabilities and medical conditions clumsily grafted onto their characterization. Oz's clubfoot. I I mean, it's not just his clubfoot. I mean, it's the face. It's the way he walks. His persona. Oz he utilizes his disabilities in a literal sense. I don't know if it's clumsily grafted on. It's a major character trait of Oz and how he's gotten to where he is and how he acts who he is. He is this guy who kind of hides in the shadows, hides in the background. Nobody gives a fuck about him, and that's what he says is his biggest strength. Sophia's mental illness. Again, she began she wasn't mentally ill. They broke her in the Arkham Asylum or the Arkham Hospital. I don't remember where it takes place. And they showed you how she went from just a normal everyday girl. Yes, she's the daughter of a major crime syndicate, but she wasn't this kind of unhinged person to who she is now. I don't know if that was clumsily grafted on, as you say. Vic's stutter, that's just a natural uh, condition that people have. I don't know how you say that's clumsily done either. They didn't say, "Oh, this happened because of the flooding." He's always had the stutter. He was just born with it. He was clumsily born with a stutter. And that alone would be fine, but that's also what connects Oz to him initially. He sees this physical ailment that Victor has to fight through when he's talking. They have a great scene where Victor's trying to say something to a waiter, and then the waiter goes, he tries to like finish his sentence because he's taking too long. He's, "Oh, sir, did you mean the chicken?" And Oz bangs the table, and he's like, "Let the man speak." It's a great scene, and you're just saying this is clumsy. Francis Lewy body dementia. Did you just add that? That's just so unrelated to everything. She's just, I don't know what you're trying to get at with this sentence, but you're wrong. None of this provides deeper insights into psychology or personality as much as it gives the actors more on-camera business to attend to. I just broke down like everything that it does to add more into the psychology of the characters, why Oz and Vic connected, what Oz is going through as his mother is kind of drifting in and out of reality, and how Sophia's handling her. Like, Sophia's kind of separate from the situation. The wobbly gait that contributes to Oz's hated nickname, for instance, and they somehow feel like attributes called upon only when the story demands it. I just know they're integrated into the very characters. I've already broken down. Oz uses this sort of like, I don't know the psychological term for it, but he's almost overlooked by most people in most situations because of his disabilities, and he uses that to his advantage. And that's why Victor and him were connecting in the first place. And Sophia's not mentally ill, but she was broken and is becoming this sort of unhinged character who you don't know how she's going to react in situations, which makes her a great villain. They're not attributes when called upon only when the story demands it. That's how they act. That's how they are. That's who their very characters are, deep down, ingrained into their essence. At worst, there's something to gawk at, as in one ghastly close-up of Oz's gnarled foot. Ah, okay, man. This is why IGN is the laughing stock of the internet. Nobody has taken IGN seriously in decades now at this point. I maybe remember in the early 2000s when I would look up a review like, oh, is the next Zelda game any good? And then you go to IGN. Nobody gives a fuck anymore. And this is why. All right, we're almost at the end. Hold on. Just hold. Everybody hold. Attempts to do the most within the Penguin's limited real estate occasionally hit on something interesting. Okay. Another smarmy jab. Sophia's targeting of the people closest to Oz leads her to the doorstep of, and a wonderfully tense meeting of the minds with, his girlfriend Eve, played by Carmen Ejogo. Okay, so yeah, you've definitely seen the whole season, which I'm I'm genuinely jealous of. We haven't got to that yet. But hey, this is a spoiler-free review, which you just spoiled something that was gonna happen. So thank you for that, you fucking asshole. I'm actually a little mad about that now, but anyway, we'll move on past this. But it also leads to some embarrassing detours, like the scenes from Sophia's stay in Arkham. Wow, you call that an embarrassing detour? I called it one of the greatest episodes in television. Okay, let's see why it's an embarrassing detour. The sort of heightened, grimy, looking through the glass psychodrama that gives the term cartoonish a bad name. This woman who is set up to effectively be shut away for the rest of her life for murders that she didn't commit, and how she both survives, overcomes, and is broken by them simultaneously is cartoonish to you. Wow, Eric with a K. I am fascinated. I cannot believe that you work for IGN. I can't believe you work for IGN. I cannot believe that you write movie reviews. The problems plaguing the series are thrown into stark relief by the finale, which stretches the trip into Oz's past into a second episode, while attempting multiple gut punches that fail to land because of the people involved haven't been given any. This is a run-on sentence. All right, I'm gonna try this again. We're gonna take a deep breath. Everybody just. I don't know if you've seen that Mission Impossible thing where he has to dive for like 2 minutes. Hyperventilate yourself and then get a deep breath going. The problems plaguing the series are thrown into stark relief by the finale, which stretches the trip into Oz's past into a second episode. Which stretches the trip into Oz's past into a second episode. I don't like the way that sentence is formed. Which stretches the trip into Oz's past into a second episode while attempting multiple gut punches that fail to land because the people involved haven't been given the screen time to matter to each other or to us. I mean, I haven't seen the finale, but I'm really going to disagree with you here. Without spoiling anything you already have, I found the finale extremely disappointing and misguided. The acts of mimicry reached their lowest point here, with a betrayal that recalls but can't quite conjure the quiet devastation of the character deaths from The Sopranos and Breaking Bad. Why would you compare it with Breaking Bad? Breaking Bad doesn't have to take place around mobsters. Breaking Bad is... It's jaw-dropping for all the wrong reasons. To the bitter end, Oswald Cobb's ambitions get the better of him. Perhaps he'll fare better when someone else's spinning plates are at the center of the picture. Wow. Given your track record in this article, I am more than excited for the finale of The Penguin. Holy crap, I cannot wait to see what happens. You did a great job at selling me on the show, accidentally, sir. Okay, let's go to the verdict. It's tempting to pat the Penguin on the back for at least trying something. Wow, you want to give it a participation award. All right then, Eric with a K. But that's a type of patronizing gesture that would cause Colin Farrell to sneer through the layers of prosthetics that transform him into Oswald Oz Cobb. Highlight in small doses in The Batman, Oz withers in the spotlight of The Penguin when he's not overshadowed by ally turned enemy turned ally turned enemy again, Sophia Falcone, played to the hilt by Kristen Milioti. Is played to the hilt good or bad? To embody completely or convincingly. So you liked Sophia. You called her, what did you call her earlier in the article? Cartoonish? You liked her. Then what do... The limited series worships at the altar of The Godfather, Goodfellas, Scarface, The Sopranos, and Breaking Bad. But Sophia's family are no Corleones, Oz is no Tony, and in these 8 episodes, they're not given the time or space to get anywhere close to those crime drama landmarks. I gotta say, first of all, the fact that these are the only mobster movies that you can name shows your limited comprehension of cinema as a whole. And the fact that you're saying that A, it's worshiping these altars, and B, that Sophia's family isn't the Corleones. That's exactly it. Oz isn't a Tony. They're their own characters. They have their own hopes, dreams, aspirations, character dynamics. They're completely unrelated. Maybe the fact that they are in a mobster situation might remind you of some of these shows and movies, but they're completely separate. They're completely independent of each other. They may take the occasional influence from here or there, but they are different, my friend. I'm sorry that your brain is unable to distinctify, that's not a word, the 2 and 3 and 4 of them from each other, but none of these are the same show. None of these are the same media. They're all trying to do something different. Maybe you should just go watch The Sopranos on repeat, because that seems to be the only show that you actually like. Just plug that bad boy into the DVD player and hit loop every single time that the show's over, because that's all that you seem to like. The Batman was overstuffed too, but at least it had a solid, straightforward mystery at its core for everyone to orbit. The only thing that this sentence right here specifically means to me is that you did not understand the show. That's the only way that I can personally understand that somebody gives The Penguin a 5 out of 10, is that you just didn't get it, which is bizarre to me because it has a very understandable plot. It's a very low barrier to entry television show. It's one of those great shows. I always talk about this when I'm referring to media. It has its surface level story that it's trying to tell, as well as the subtext and the themes and the message that it's trying to get across through the actions and behaviors of all the characters and their relationships. There's multiple stories that are being told, so you don't just have to be a fucking media literate nerd to know what's going on. You can just be a casual guy, glance over at the screen every few minutes, and you'll still be entertained. Also, if you watch the show minute to minute, break down and analyze the scenes, you'll be entertained. It's great. It's a beautifully done show. I cannot believe that you didn't understand this, Eric with a K. And you got a special screening copy of it too, which is, boy, oh boy, am I jealous. The mob drama being built around Oz requires something grander and more operatic to succeed. Unfortunately, the Penguin lacks the chops, the wit, and the wings to reach those heights. Get it? Because he's a penguin? 5 out of 10. The Penguin puts Colin Farrell back in the Batman's transformative makeup, but it fails to build a compelling mob drama around him. Now you say transformative here, but then you insult the prosthetics. So did you like the show or didn't you like the show, Eric with a K? I mean, what shows do you like? I'm so genuinely curious what tickled your pickle. It looks like he's only been a writer for like 2 days. September 29th was his first write. Knuckles. All right, Star Wars The Acolyte video.
Last night, a Jedi was murdered.
Star Wars,
about 100 in recent books before the Acolyte brings us to a never-before-seen era of Star Wars, about 100 years before the rise of the Empire, at the tail end of the High Republic period featured in recent books and comics.
By the way, his voice, spot on with somebody named Eric with a K who writes these types of reviews. You sound exactly like I thought you would. You never fail to impress. He gave the Star Wars Acolyte 6 out of 10. He gave the Acolyte a higher score than the Penguin. Okay, all right. We're good here. We know who Eric is. This is one of those people that we just tuck away into the internet garbage piles. We just kind of forget that this human being exists and hope that he can go do something productive like work on a farm, because this man's opinions do not matter. All right. Well, that is the IGN article. You can go read it for yourself if you really want. I'll link it to you. But holy crap, was that a wild journey? Thank you so much for coming along. Let me know what your thoughts are, what you agreed with, what you disagreed with, and I will catch you in the next one.